Hello and welcome to another tactical analysis. Today it is going to be on Arne Slot's Liverpool, and this is just off of the back of losing at Anfield against Manchester United and the problems that are facing them this season and how there's a real big balance issue. They're not getting the best out of big money acquisitions and established players that were at the club last season, and it's becoming all a little bit too difficult for Arne Slot to handle. And there's a bit of an issue in the sense that all they've got to do is figure out how to stop conceding goals, how to gain a little bit more control in the midfield, and get their attack scoring goals. If they can sort those three things out, they'll be alright, they'll be fine. And that's why I think it's a little bit of an issue in all seriousness, is if it was just, say, the defence that was an issue, they were getting done at the fullbacks, but the midfield and attack had all clicked and they were scoring goals for fun. Alright, that's an issue you can isolate and fix. If it was vice versa, if it was the forward line here that you were struggling to find sort of balance between them and get all the players on the pitch into like a cohesive system, but rock solid defensively. Alisson, Van Dijk and the fullbacks had all settled in and they were keeping clean sheets. Then okay, that's an issue that you can solve, but it's everything, and the balance that connects it all just seems so lost. And it was something that shocks me a bit because Arne Slot did so fantastically with it last season, and so to see he's struggling now, and you have less sympathy for him in this phase because he's had near enough 500 mil to spend. This is his team now. It feels like we are watching an Arne Slot team, and everyone came out of the summer saying that, well, Liverpool are just going to retain the title. No conversation, no competition. They're retaining the title, which was always a little bit silly, but that is the expectation generally when you win the league and then spend close to £500 million. You can't escape that. And there's a few things I'm going to look at from the Manchester United game at the weekend, just to sort of elaborate where I think there are some issues. And of course, there's individual performance issues. Mo Salah has dropped off. Isaac hasn't hit the ground running. And I'm just going to try and give him maybe a little bit more detail that you haven't heard elsewhere. Because do I need to point out that Salah has been poor? No, everyone knows he has. But I'll try and just explain it a little bit more through things I noticed during the game. So I'll move on to that. So I think there is the intention of a real central fluid build-up play from Liverpool to try and overload in the middle of the pitch and play through an opposition's shape and play through an opposition's press. And I'll exemplify it with this. Isaac here, who's coming out from a centre-forward position. Luke Shaw's tracking him as the left centre-back. So already there's a gap that's left in the defence. And I'm just going to highlight this guy right here, Conor Bradley, because it'll be important as I move the pictures up. He's in a natural right-back position, one that you would see Trent in. So just keep an eye on that. Isaac making that movement out now has pulled Luke Shaw out of what would be his position here. Conor Bradley, who is an athletic player, he's not Trent Alexander-Arnold in the sense that he'll play make from deep, and we'll cover that more in a minute, but he's a runner, he's an athlete, he's aggressive, and he's very forward-thinking, and that shows in this position here. Isaac vacates the space, Conor Bradley moves into it, and all of a sudden, this guy right here, Harry Maguire, is in a position where he's trailing Szoboszlai, but he can't get pulled too far because of Luke Shaw going to press Isaac. That's already left a bit of space in that left channel. Dalot at left wing back is pinned there by Salah. So Conor Bradley making that move is asking questions. If I just move it on to the next slide. Szoboszlai is then allowed to drop in without the marker because Luke Shaw's there, and then Harry Maguire realises he has to maintain his position because he's concentrated with the run of Bradley. Bradley was about to run in all kinds of space. Even Dalot's in that position where he's sort of, coming inside but can't leave Salah in a bit too much space. So they've caused issues centrally for Manchester United. You can see what they're clearly trying to do. Overwhelm the centre, fluid movements, players arriving into space and then creating space for others as a result, and vice versa, and the chain goes on. So Szoboszlai looks to receive the ball here. He's got a lot of space. He's great on the half turn as well. He's got great technical ability, as we all know. He then plays the ball to McAllister, who's coming in from his left sort of centre midfield role into I guess you could say a centre forward position. De Ligt does well, he reads it and he gets the challenge in, as you can see here. McAllister gets the shot away, but it's an easy enough save to Lamans. It's not a clear-cut opportunity. Maybe you think he could perhaps just play this pass into Conor Bradley, who's making that movement outside of Maguire's view and inside of Dalot. But I'm not going to be too critical of that. It's coming at him quick and De Ligt's closing him down, so he's got very little time to react. But you can see right away what Liverpool are trying to do with their style and with the way they're trying to progress the ball here. Without a technically elite player, they've got technically very good players, I think we're seeing the damage of having no Trent Alexander-Arnold and then replacing him with a much different profile. Another issue I have with Liverpool, and this has cost them in games this season, namely the Palace one, to a degree the Chelsea one, the amount of players they put on that last line. So even if I just point out here, there's Kirkes 1, there's Gakpo 2, there's, I think that's McAllister 3, Szoboszlai 4, Isak 5, Salah 6, Gravenberch's on the ball, and there's the two centre-backs behind him, and then there's Conor Bradley here. But if I just move this slide on, and this is 14 seconds after, Conor Bradley has moved into a right-wing position, attacking right-wing position. Salah's gone inside, again with the rest of the players. So they're advanced against the last line, and this is Virgil van Dijk, 5-10 yards into the United half. But there's no real showing for the ball, which I think is a little bit odd. The one that is Kirkes in this position. He's dropping a little bit deeper, but Kirkes has been entrusted with playing this sort of left back, left centre back, but also overlapping or underlapping player. And when you're the deeper player that's sort of forming a back three, I think you need to have a real technically high level. Kirkes isn't that. Technically, he's very limited, and I think he's shown when it's not a fast-paced, high-tempo game, he doesn't actually offer a lot. So with him being the free man to receive the ball, obviously it's still a threat, but if you're looking at that front line, if you want anyone to receive the ball in a bit of space, it's probably Kirkes. Everyone else is close to the Manchester United back five, in the central congestion that United are, because obviously they're trying to close up space. You know, you've got McAllister who can maybe receive that ball in between the line, but Bruno's close to him, Casemiro's dropping back in, and Burmo's covering and blocking the passing lane off. Gravenberch here can't really receive the ball, he's not got the space to do so, and as a result, Liverpool find it hard to play out, and this was the case time and time again. The overcommitting of players to that last line makes it harder for them to play out, because everyone's too focused on getting into the box, that mentality of trying to attack quickly, and it cost them in the defensive phase as well, as we'll go over in a second. So they're showing their hand too early. They're just playing into the to United strengths, really. United want them to infiltrate their shape because there's not really any room for them to play through to. And again, the differences in profiles that have been used. Now, obviously, Liverpool have signed Frimpong, who hasn't worked. He's a similar player to Bradley in that he's a runner, he's athletic, quick, we'll look to get him behind, we'll look to occupy the last line. It's a completely different profile to what they had in Trent. And for me, when Trent would receive this ball here, this is what he'd be looking to do. That pass in there over to Mo Salah, maybe not even to Mo Salah, into Isak, even though we didn't play with Isak, but whoever was playing centre forward, looking to get up the pitch. There's space in behind that United defence now. They're high up the pitch. This is slightly transitional for Liverpool. And this is the pass they'd look. This would be the Trent and Salah combo that we'd seen time and time again just kill teams. But Conor Bradley just isn't Trent. And those passes ain't landing the same. Look, you can see Salah's gone out for a throw as well as the ball. And it's just the difference in profiles while still trying to retain what made this Liverpool team so good and so effective last season and that won him the league. I'm going to touch on it as well because I don't think Salah's helping himself. He's also not getting the same service that he was. He's also not as much the priority because you've got British transfer record Isak in the centre, who's also not getting the service he needs to get at his best. Wirtz, who didn't start the game, isn't playing in a role that suits him to get the best out of him. You've got three players that almost need to be the focal point of your tactics because of the quality they have and the success they've had at clubs where they've been at. It's hard to do that in a 3-on-1 situation at one club, especially when there was a clear formula that made it so successful for another. I don't mind the idea that Slot's trying to make a way for Liverpool to play without having to rely on Mo Salah. I don't think that's a terrible idea at all, but it's still, A, got to be a priority to get the best out of Salah, and B, there's still got to be balance to everything. And at the minute, it just doesn't feel balanced. Bradley trying to play passes that he just doesn't have it in his locker to do. Not a criticism of him, he's just not that player. And as well, what I'm about to show you goes in line with the overcommitting players to the last line thing, and this is a clear way of how they try and create space for the wide players. It's something they did last season, to be fair. But again, it was a little bit different of the balance of profiles, and this doesn't help out Salah at all. So Van Dijk's on the ball, and I'm going to point out here, Kirkes, Bradley, and now what you'd say are typical right and left back positions. You've got Szoboszlai in the pivot because he's changed positions with Gravenberch. So nothing wrong with that. Ball goes to Gakpo. As you can see here, Kirkes has made that underlapping run to create space more in the centre. Gakpo makes the movement in. Fair enough, I don't mind that as a tactic. Robertson did that last season. But then it moves to the right side, Szoboszlai's about to play that pass over to Salah. As you can see, he's now got space because Conor Bradley has made that underlapping move from right back to create space in the centre. The biggest issue with this is I'll just point out you've got Kirkes here. So it's Szoboszlai is the pivot, and the two centre-backs which are just off screen. Van Dijk's just on screen. And Gakpo is the connector for some unknown reason. So Bradley's made that movement in from right back, and there's now nobody in this position, anywhere in this area here, to perhaps connect and give Salah something to play through. Because the person making the run that Conor Bradley is making now last season was Szoboszlai from the right attacking midfield or attacking midfield position, inverting, making underlapping runs, creating space in the centre, dragging markers away that gave Salah more room to move inside and produce his moments, but still with Trent in this position here to supply Salah, to supply other players, to connect from one side of the field to the other and use his unbelievable passing range to just get the best out of everything. Bradley's making that movement. Salah's going to receive the ball. And now when Salah receives the ball, he cuts more of an isolated figure. And the only thing he does, and I don't have the slide to show it, is take a touch inside into this area here and put a cross in the box, of which Liverpool's physicality, it feels like, has gone down tremendously. Isak looks so rusty in the box. Gravenberch's being given more license to bomb forward from his sixth position now. The only real player I feel like that offers a physical threat is Gakpo, but when Salah received the ball, look at where Gakpo is. No use in being in that position. He went up with the back stick to receive deep crosses, and it doesn't feel like Liverpool have the box domination in the attacking penalty area that they once did. You know, Isak is lacking a lot of presence, and Salah isn't getting the same space to operate in. It feels like he's being forced further wide because of the lack of Trent, and it feels like he's just got to create from that situation. It's fallen on Salah to be the prime creator, which he was last season to a certain degree with the amount of assists he got, but it was complemented by also Trent Alexander-Arnold and the threat he had on that right-hand side. Now, he is the literal sole creator. It's got to come from him. He's now no longer the goal threat. He's the one that's got to produce the service for the players in the box, for the Isaks, for Conor Bradley making the movement, for McAllister, for Gakpo at the back stick. And that isn't really where you want Mo Salah to be. It's a great addition that he added to his game last season, but he's the goal threat. He's the goal threat. Get him into the best positions, and he doesn't help himself. I'm going to show this next slide here. So this is Kirkes receiving the ball inside left. Here's Mo Salah in the far right position, and as you can see now, there's a run from Szoboszlai that's dragging Luke Shaw inwards. As you can see here, Luke Shaw sort of focused on that run here, and he's moving inside, and all of a sudden there's going to be space created between Luke Shaw and Diogo Dalot. Cross goes in from Kirkes, and look, it's not a great cross, but there is enough distance now between Luke Shaw and Diogo Dalot that Salah can make his trademark movements into, one that he's been known for years. You go back to the him and Mane and Firmino days, that run into that space, that curved run, Dalot's not going to be able to track it, he's not going to really be able to see him coming, and he can get the goal, or at least get in a good enough opportunity to get a shot away, and at least be in a position where the ball can fall to him, and just something can happen through his quality. So he's lacking that little bit of sharpness. Whether it's a confusion of roles, I don't know. Whether it's just too many instruction, who knows? You'd have to ask Salah, and you'd have to ask Slot, and you'd have to hope they give you an honest answer. But it really just shows that Liverpool aren't doing the best they can to get the best out of their players. And I'm going to highlight a player, and I feel a little bit harsh because he's been criticised tremendously since joining Liverpool, but it's Kirkes. Now, this is for the first United goal. As you can see here, Kirkes is facing up Ahmad, who later on gets the assist for the goal. And don't get me wrong, Van Dijk and Konate are to blame for this goal as well. But as you can see here, Ahmad's receiving the ball. Kirkes can now go and engage. He's got every reason to get close here and stop Ahmad from getting a clear sight where he can play the ball into the space behind him. That space exists. It's got to be on Kirkes to go and close Ahmad down in this position here. And he just doesn't do a good enough job of cutting any real passing lane. That is not a difficult pass for a Premier League footballer, which is where the ball goes and which is where Mbeumo ends up scoring from. That is left open. Again, he's not being helped by his centre-backs, and you can blame the McAllister head injury all you want, but he's not doing a good enough job of getting close to Ahmad and cutting the threat off. This is later on in the half. Now, as you can see here, Ahmad's dropping in a little bit deeper. He's wing back, don't forget, so he's not going to be advanced on the high line. And he's almost enticing Milos Kirkes at this point. He's a little bit like, come on, doggy, good boy. And as a result, there's now a channel that's being created because McAllister has gone to press Bruno Fernandes in this situation. And Burmo, like any top Premier League player will do, sees space, knows where he's got to be. Kirk's coming in, getting close to Ahmad. Ahmad just slips it round the corner. Van Dijk's in a bit of no man's land because he doesn't know whether to come and press and Burmo, or maybe drop and protect the channel. And look at the position of Kirkes now. Sort of spinning, sort of turning around. He's done exactly what Amad Diallo has wanted him to, and Ahmad's off. He's sprinting, he's getting in behind, and Burma's got the space on the inside to receive the ball, and United fashion a chance out from that. Doesn't result in a goal, but he's being played like a fiddle. His reading of situations, his defensive discipline is so bad. So bad. And he's being exposed in every game, and he's getting targeted more so than I can ever remember Trent getting targeted. And he's failing, it feels like, at every major test. The only good game I can remember him having was against Madueke against Arsenal. But I also feel like Arsenal and Madueke let him off the hook big style. And, of course, I'm not going to go over it in too much detail, but the winning goal, as you can see here, the ball is in the air now. It's just after Bruno Fernandes has played his volley pass. Excellent assist, by the way. Take nothing away from that. And I'm just going to quickly move to the next slide. A second in between slides here. And look at the difference in this line. There's whatever that is, that's 6 players in that line against the United 4 in that attacking area. Now there's Maguire, there's Dorgu, and there's De Ligt at the far post, but Liverpool have got enough players on that last line where they can win any duel. I think Szoboszlai's in a good enough position. I believe that's Szoboszlai at the far post, Van Dijk and Konate. There's bodies back is what I'm saying. Just a second later, how has that happened? 6 players in a line to 2. 3 players at the back stick overloading. Maguire heads in and gets a well-deserved goal. And then all of this. Idea on the counter-attack, looking that if they regain the ball, they can get up the pitch and exploit space in behind the Manchester United players who've committed forward. Their mindset, their mentality is really got to stop this from being a goal. Really got to battle to win this ball and prevent United from getting a chance at the back stick. It was the same, by the way, for the winning goal against... or winning goal for Palace against Liverpool about 2 or 3, 4 weeks ago. This is harder to sort out for Arne Slot than any tactical issue. This is a mentality issue. And look, it's great. We want our teams to score goals. We want them to be front foot. We want them to gamble and risk. This is silly. This is silly. You are leaving Van Dijk. Look, could Konate do better? Yeah, maybe. But he's got 3-on-1. Szoboszlai was in the thick of it there, giving him the assist. Szoboszlai's now about 5 yards off of him. Jones is nowhere near. Ekatike, Wirtz and Chiesa just may as well not even be in the box. And these moments will cost Liverpool. There's so many issues to sort out. The Arne Slot has got to get it right, and he's got to get it right quick. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. In a bit, lads.